Tell me about Pelura.
She is an Imperial Lord, a powerful angel, one of our most important allies, and my loyal friend. She is the mistress of the stars and the mysterious light of the Aurora. Sarkoris was the land where Pelura was revealed with particular fervor, where her most important temples were located. When the demons came to this poor land, the priests and devotees of Pelura accepted the challenge bravely. Many died protecting and healing their friends in the first years of the calamity. This saddened the Shimmering Maiden. Pelura boldly decided to intervene in the affairs of mortals, and used powerful spells to hide her main temple. Even the strongest of demons cannot find it.
Tell me about the temple and the people who live there.
Pelura's Fall was once a great Sarkorian shrine. From the city of Iz and other lands, the burial barges of great chiefs would go there to set off on their last journey into the mighty streams of the Falls. But the temple was famous not only as a final resting place. Pelura is the patron of stargazers. Her servants possess celestial wisdom. In reading the stars, they discover the mysteries and secrets of the world. In times of old, people would seek their counsel on many different matters, and they were respected and honored throughout Sarkoris. Today, Pelura's Fall is not what it once was. 100 years of isolation has placed an unbearable burden on the shoulders of the stargazers and their guards. But they persevere, despite the hardships. You should meet these people, for you could not hope to find a better example of self-denial and resilience.
I want to know more about Targona and Lariel.
Heaven's grief at their loss could not be any greater. Lariel and Targona were daring and merciful in equal measure, and relentless in fighting evil. They called each other brother and sister because one soul was used to create them. Yes, it happens. Sometimes an angel is made of many souls, or the essence of the upper planes. And sometimes, one soul can give life to several supernatural creatures. This was the case with Targona and Lariel. When the world wound opened, they were the first to go to the mortal's aid. Alas, heaven was in extreme upheaval after great Arodin died. When the evil mind of Arilu Vorlesh, paired with the will of cursed Discari, shook the foundations of the world, while the other angels and Imperial Lords were slowly waking up to the disaster that was unfolding by holding councils and getting bogged down in speculation. Targona and Lariel were already fighting demons, leading refugees out of the fallen Sarkoris, and trying to find out what had happened on Golarion and how to deal with it. For what had happened was so monstrous, so extraordinary, that even heaven did not know what to expect next. When Mendev answered the challenge of the Abyss and became the Kingdom of Crusaders, Targona and Lariel shared the hardships and glories of the First Crusade with their mortal comrades. And then they both disappeared. First Lariel, and then his sister immediately after. I was unable to search for them the moment I found out, for the world wound had just reopened and Dresden had fallen. It was a tremendous blow for everyone. By the time I was able to begin the search, the tide of chaos had swept away all traces of them. Only your arrival has shed some light on the sad fate of Lariel.
I need to settle other matters before I go to Pelura's Fall.
As you wish, champion. Find me when you decide it's time to go to Pelura's Fall, for only I can transport you to the secret temple.
That's awesome. Ask you questions. Tell me about
She is an
Pelura.
Imperial Lord, a powerful angel, one of our most important allies, and my loyal friend. This saddened the Pelura. Today, Pelura's heaven. When the world, when Mendev answered the challenge.
What do you think of the Sword of Valor? It has changed under the effect of my powers. Do not fret, champion. The great relic given to the world by my lady Iomade will continue to serve you just as it has served all people before now. The Sword of Valor has not lost its protective properties. It has merely changed its design. Some might call it blasphemy, but not I. For the power that changed the banner's design was given to you by Iomade herself. It seems that I caused the Sword of Valor to change. Blood from the wound on my chest fell onto the banner, and that means this mysterious wound is a mark of valor, given to you by my mistress, setting you apart from all the rest, champion. Are you sure this wound is a gift by Iomade? No, I could be mistaken and unable to perceive the full truth. The inheritor's thoughts are hidden from me, for I am but her hand. I do not test her will with my doubts, nor crave answers to my questions. I simply trust and serve, but I know that if your body had been harmed by malevolent fiends, my goddess would have extended her mercy to you and healed you. Why did the goddess bestow this wound on me? Because this world of yours, champion, is bleeding, and my lady's chosen one carries a crimson mark as a sign of the great suffering borne by mortal kin. The scarlet drops on your breast, they are the blood of all the martyrs and all the innocents. That is how I see it. Can you heal me? Defy my lady's will, it pains me, but I must refuse you, champion. If you are suffering from this affliction, it must be part of the inheritor's design. The pain serves to remind you of the path you must take. I have heard you. Tell me about yourself and your goddess. I will gladly answer any questions. What's it like being a herald of deity? It is a great honor and a great responsibility. The herald is not always the strongest among a deity's servants, but the herald is always one who embodies the key principles of their faith. This means that I am bound to uphold the highest ideals of Iomade: righteous valor, justice, and honor. This is a tall order even for an angel, but I cannot falter in my duty even slightly. Therein lies my service to the goddess and the thousands of her faithful followers. What does a herald do? What does a herald usually do? I serve as the hand and voice of the goddess, carrying out her will and delivering her message. When her radiance has no tasks for me, I am occupied by the same duties as other warriors of heaven. I keep unfailing watch over the goddess's domain. I escort the souls of the faithful of Pharasma's court, and then onto their waiting afterlife. I also watch over the goddess's chosen, and when the opportunity arises, I descend into hell to engage in honest combat with the devils. It allows me to study their tactics. What is Iomade like? The herald chuckles softly. No doubt you are hoping to hear a tale of her untold divine might and the awe she elicits in chosen around here. Elicits in those around her. Yes, this is true of the inheritor, but it is also true that she seemed much closer and understandable to you than to others. Such as myself, for example. Iomade was born an ordinary person in the cursed lands of Cheliax, and traveled a long road before she became the righteous queen of heaven. But she has never forgotten who she was before. I am older than my lady goddess, much older, and still I bow down before her foresight and wisdom. The immortals who spend much of our time on the outer planes can sometimes struggle to comprehend the pain, fear, and joy that mortals feel, but not Iomade. She is as human as she is divine. Why is heaven's host not aiding the Crusaders? You could have destroyed the world wound long ago. You cannot imagine how your question fills me with sorrow. My greatest desire since the day of the world wound opened was to come here at the head of a light-bringing my army and drive out the legions of darkness, to harry them until they were cowering in the farthest corners of the abyss. But alas, we, the first servants of the gods, are greatly restricted in what we can do. The Crusades are mortals' battle for their own world. If I bring angelic forces here, it will be a war between heaven and the abyss. Waves of power, magic incinerating everything within sight. Armies of celestials and demons fight in every corner of this world. The consequences would be horrific. Remember, everything you have seen up to now has been the work of only 3 demon lords, Tiscari and Baphomet. Tiscari embodiment, who are supported by Nocticula, the mistress of guile. But in the abyss, there are dozens of creatures with similar power. They are disunited and despite one another almost as much as and despise one another almost as much as they despise all that is light and righteous. But but be sure that they will not miss a chance to sink their teeth into heaven's throat. If all the demon lords marched to Galarian, it would be the stuff of nightmares, and it cannot be allowed to become a reality. If you can't interfere in the course of the crusade, why are you helping me? There's permissible interference, and then there's crossing the line. I was permitted to create the ward stones and to give them to the crusaders to offer my advice, and from time to time even appear on the battlefield myself to accompany several allies. This does not stray beyond the bounds of the mortal's war. I could have been summoned with equal success by a faithful cleric. But the appearance here of heaven's multitudinous host in full force is another matter entirely. Alas, for now, I can only offer you this, my presence and a small troop of my loyal soldiers. Thank you for your answers. I want to talk to you about angels. You have my full attention. How are angels made? Like other supernatural beings, we most often, though not always, are born from the souls of mortals. You must be aware of the grand laws governing the cycle of birth and death. After Pharasma's court, each mortal soul receives their merited afterlife, hell and the abyss. Even in Elysium, heaven and Elysium, each soul goes to the plane that called to them in life. But when they arrive at their destination, a different fate awaits each soul. Where evil reigns supreme, souls typically become commodities or prey, and a scant few are reborn as wicked fiends. In the plains of good, souls are destined for peaceful rest, for great deeds in a new guise, such as the lot of angels. We are born from the souls of noble mortals, one soul or several. It can vary. Sometimes the gods can also create angels out of the essence of their plane, but this essence also contains fragments of good souls. What is the difference between angels and mortals? That is a question for sages and philosophers to debate. I am just a simple warrior. Although many supernatural beings are born from the souls of mortals, we are not mortal. We are cut from the cloth of the plane from which we originate. We are an idea made flesh. Many things mortals care deeply about mean nothing to us, such as time, for instance, or gender. Only a few of my kin see themselves as male or female. For the majority of angels, these words are meaningless. We can communicate with any creature without learning their language, and we do not freeze in even the most terrible frost. We are different, but we will never look down on mortals because of that, and we will never, ever stop praying for you or protecting you. In Canopus, I touched the wardstone, and I saw the angels trapped inside. The herald of Iomata gives a sigh breath beneath his helmet. It was a heavy decision for all of us. My mistress sent out a call to take a stand against the demons, and many angels of heaven answered it. We chose the noblest and bravest from among those who volunteered to sacrifice their freedom for the sake of Galarian, and we locked their souls inside the wardstones. They were fated to stand guard there, inside the cold depths of stone, hitting their unbending will against creeping demonic corruption. But alas, the goddess and I failed to account for the weakness that lurks even in the best of us. Time has not been kind to my brothers and sisters. Despair has taken root in their souls, forcing them to act against their goddess and their calling. Thank you for finding a way to preserve the wardstone, despite the fact that many of my brothers and sisters inside abandoned their vigil. I do not condemn them. I do not know if I could have withstood the demonic corruption if had been in their place. Can you tell anything about my power? I'm afraid not. Even I am not privy to all the workings of my radiant mistress. I believe that she has chosen you, and I know that she watches over her chosen ones most attentively. She does not lead mortals by the hand, but allows them to prove themselves, to prove that they are worthy of her divine mercy. Almost as soon as I met you, I felt that I had gained a long-lost brother. The flame of heaven burns so brightly within you, it is impossible to miss. While Iomedae was still mortal, she underwent the test of the Starstone and gained her godhood. I may well be that you are experiencing a similar trial, at the end of which you will gain true righteousness and power. Ooh. Let's do this. I want to go to
I will be glad
Pellure's
to
Fall.
accompany you. Gather your companions and let us depart.
Oh, hold on. Oh, wrong thing.
So many years wasted. So many good people perished. And there's still no end to this war.
Praise the goddess, we'll end it, once and for all.
Zergod, we got ourselves settled in here, so it's time to go back for the mongrels. If we don't do it, the soul will keep stalling until Iomedae herself comes down to drag him out. Why do you want to go back for them? Now, you showed them the light of heaven. The shield base has fallen. The ancient Mongol prophecy has come true. They want to go up to the surface, but they're afraid to take the first step on their own. I can understand them. My father would have never gone to the surface if my mom hadn't encouraged him. Everyone needs support before taking a mortal's important step. Besides, you help the young ones, save them from the eternal curse or whatever that demon and Windwog tried to cast on them. If they don't follow you, I'm afraid another Savamelech might come along and take advantage of them. Why are you coming to me with this now? Hey, you know, I just had so much on my plate. First we were running around putting out fires in Canabras, then we were running away from the gargoyles, then we were running to save Dresden. Why don't we run to why don't we run to the caves now? Well, let's go. We can always use more fighters. I will accept the mongrels, but they will obey the same rules as all my soldiers. That won't be a problem. There are some hotheads, but they know that if you want to live, listen to what the adults are telling you. Rule. Hail, Commander. A middle-aged dwarf who has clearly seen some combat salutes you with one barely moving bony hand. Dorgalinda Stranglehold, chair of the Logistics Council at your service. We got ourselves in an ugly situation that requires your decision. Oh? Hey there. I'm on this here council too. You know me. I'm a tiptoe logistic counselor. I hope I won't get in anyone's way if I join you. I think I could give some good advice here, if you don't mind, of course. Hopefully this council... You're on 2 councils now! Hopefully this council will benefit from my vast experience surviving the gear that consists of rocks and sticks, and where any dinner that's not squirming on their plate is considered a feast. All in all, kind of like our crusade. I won't lie to you, our logistics are a mess. We need more of everything, and And what we do have is in disarray. Crates of provisions are rotting away in storehouses because some idiot quartermaster spilled beer on the papers. And fools are not the worst problem. There's also theft. And some officers grease palms to get a helmet with stylish plumage, or a fancy blade with Norasian. From Norasian. Meanwhile, that means the ordinary soldiers are being armed with barely more than kitchen knives, hammer and tongs. It's time to give the entire logistics staff the bum's rush. The question is, where do we find capable and honest people to replace them? The army is always a mess. It's the army. Duh. If we want to get ourselves out of the bogs Supplies have got to be handled by real moneymakers, not soldiers, merchants, store clerks, people with a habit of counting every coin, not sucking away on the kingdom's udder. These scoundrels must be replaced with decent, honorable people, selfless souls who have proven that they put their comrades' lives above all else, especially their own wealth. Surely, that's who will take best care of the soldiers. So far, I like Woljifs and Ruchelet. Let's get some veterans on the job, people who've had their fill of the front lines, and who know firsthand what life is like for a common soldier, what the rations taste like, and how the boots are always the wrong size. My suggestion is to call some experienced, well-connected supply officers from Neurosian. Let them leave their crushy jobs in Mendev and work up a sweat for the good of the crusade. Councils. I have a question for the council. Woljif, how did you end up on the council? Why not, huh? I'm your man when it comes to fetching the unfetchable, you know? So I figured I could show the lads in your army how it's done, and it never hurts to be close to those in charge of grub and new boots. Ruchelet, what are you doing on this council? You think I shouldn't have joined? Looks away. It's just, well, I spent a lot of time studying how armies work, both Crusaders and demonic, when I was spying. I think my advice might be useful, or at least I hope it will be. But if I'm a bother, I'll leave, of course. Ah, girl, you need a hug. You need some confidence. That's what she needs. She needs some confidence. And I'm just the guy to do it. Lan, how can you be used on this council? I know a thing or two about gathering weapons and provisions. Compared to the war for survival we had to wage underground, you guys have it easy up here. If things go badly, I can teach your troops to live off of the land and how to craft decent weapons from junk. They'll have memories of land special stews for years. Not sure if those will be fond memories, but they'll remember for sure. Berglund, why are you assigned head of the council? Over my years of doing quartermaster duty, I've managed to develop a bit of a reputation for myself. The units I'm responsible for are always properly equipped, armed, and fed. These scatterbrains and reprobates promptly get the boot. Bureaucrats who never seemed to have anything miraculously find everything they need after meeting with me. In short, don't you worry, Commander. I'm right where I belong. Understand. Let's discuss the options. Woljif. Easy. Why do quartermasters lose gear or drink it away? Because they're bunglers and drunks, obviously, but also because they're used to everything being funded. It's not theirs to lose, so they don't care. We'll bring in some savvy folks who know the price of coin. The money people, basically. I know a couple of fences. Now they, for some reason, could always find whatever they needed. They had everything in order, top notch. You couldn't snatch a nail from them. Okay, now yes, there will be some. There will be some skimming here and there within reason. That's a given. It's in their nature. Bless their grubby hands. But what matters is they'll be stealing after they get the soldiers everything that's needed, or they'll be given the sack in no time. Pretty sure I know where Brother Woljif will get his new quartermasters. I'd bet my horns it's thieflings. Ursula, what are you suggesting? Quartermaster's job is to care for the well-being of the soldiers they're equipping for battle. That means the best people to appoint to those positions are people who really care. Those who will keep their fighters warm, fed, and properly armed. Maybe they won't have the most experience, but that's all right. It's easier to teach someone numbers and how to run a warehouse than it is to instill a conscience in. That's very true. Plan. In our tribe, we believe that the hunter's gear should be entrusted to the most seasoned hunter. To those who stalk the prey themselves and learn the price of mistake and outfitting. An old bowstring, a dull spear, a tattered cloak, the hard way. I think that's how it should be in the army. Whoever is responsible for supplies must know war firsthand. They must have dragged themselves through the mud of the battlefield, seen with their own eyes how a rotted strap or a boot one size too large can lead to a soldier's death. They must have eaten their share of rotten cabbages and seen carts of horseshoes And pots pull at their position instead ammunition because of some clerical error. Clerical error. Assign new quartermasters from the veterans, like Durgalinda here. I bet they won't steal, and they won't let anyone else steal either. Just because veterans know what they want doesn't mean they know how to get it. For every smart one like Durgalinda, you'll get 10 knuckleheads who've only ever been taught how to swing a sword. And if you take that sword away from them, they'll never figure out how to pinch a new one. I mean, not wrong. Durgalinda. There are some great workers in Mendev who have been sitting at home for way too long. Let the queen send them to us. Instead of counting buttons for the frock coats of Neresian Royal Guard, let them sort out our supplies, and they'll already have connections in Neresian. They could easily have army property decommissioned and later sold to private buyers for next to nothing. And those buyers will just happen to be the same mercenaries we're negotiating with. Connections are all too important, as well known. Also true. Unit. Okay, who is this? This is Wolja. And +1 bonus to attack and AC. All trainable units. Arushale. Unit has +2 bonus on all saving throws. That's actually pretty good. Unit has +10% bonus to maximum HP. Wow. Unit has +1 bonus to attack and all saving throws. Okay. Okay. Interesting. I'm pretty sure stuff like this we wouldn't be able to do if we turn off Kingmaker. It turned off the army management. Oh, the army management is kind of redundant and very tedious. A hell of a lot more tedious than the kingdom management in Kingmaker. That one was fairly straightforward and simple. This one is just like, okay, we are actually managing an army. But you know what? I think I'd best actually just get used to it. So I like this. I actually like all of them. Well, maybe not really Dorgalinda's, but I like the other three because this one will give me saves, this one will give me attack and AC, this one will give me extra HP. Arushale will choose the most honest and responsible people for the job. They'll make sure the soldiers are ready for whatever trouble the enemy might have in store for them. After all, the people's lives depend on their work. How could they neglect such a responsibility? And it's decided, no matter what our new quartermasters are like, there's no possible way they could be worse than what we have now. The results will be reported to you, and if anything else comes up, I'll call the council right away. Commander, upon hearing word of your victory in the Battle of Dresden, many leaders in Avistan have considered taking a more active supporting role in the crusade. Fighting demons in the name of saving the world is a prestigious endeavor, especially when the war is going well. The one whose help is accepted first will increase their standing in the political arena, which is why the powers are now competing for the right to conclude an alliance with the Mendev before their rivals do. Nerosian has already chosen which of them is to be favored. Skir, we've been building an alliance with that nation for a long time, and now the capital is expecting you to adjust the steward of Iskir with an official offer to support you. Last Wall's Mendev's most trusted ally. If we are to ask someone for support, it should be them. The Shining Crusade. Dude, why are you out there? Get in here. Darren, get your butt in the room. Rude. What say we invite the Sword Lords of Bravoy to this party? The righteous Mendevian knights just love those hot-headed provincials who will draw their weapons and challenge you to a duel at the drop of a hat. And get this, they win such duels. The Erosian will be ecstatic to have allies like these, and I hope the demons will enjoy their company as well. Just as a note, we happen to have a neighbor who's got barely any presence in the crusade. I'm talking about Numeria. It's believed to be too wild and barbaric to have any dealings with. How about we show everyone how wild and barbaric tribes can fight and invite them to play a bigger part in our war? Everyone who wanted to come because they listened to their heart here. Wow, jeez. We got 5 choices. Wait, didn't we only usually have like 4? Anyways, because they listened to their heart are here already. Time to call those who listen to their purse. We'll drop a line of the Varisian cities, tempt them with some nice spoils, and loads of savvy folks will come running. Those are the worst kind of people. Why does Nerosian decide whose help I should accept? Because you are, with all due respect, one of Her Majesty's subjects, and because it took great effort for Mendev's diplomatic corps to win Iskir over and ensure you would receive their help. Are you confident that the allies you chose yourself will be as reliable? We can't call everyone for help. I wish we could, but we can't. The Chalexians and their colonies can't stand the Andorans. Mothun is at war with Nirmathas. Nidal and Lastwall are at daggers drawn, and all of them envy the wealth of Absalom. And all of them envy the wealth of Absalom, protest against the godlessness of Truma, and fear the revolutionary plague of Galt. They can tolerate each other in small doses, but an official letter from the commander summoning one of the nations to assist the crusade will lead to, shall we say, an eruption of toxic volcanoes across half the course of Aveston. So I'm afraid you'll have to choose which of your allies is most desirable to you. Let's see what the council has to say.